Welcome along to Motorcycle Ways. Today I'm putting a new set of spark plugs on my Honda CB500x. There is a bit of work involved. Changing the spark plugs isn't the problem, it's getting to them is where the work is. So the fairings has to come off, which means the crash bar has to be removed, and then the fuel tank has to be removed, and then there's various components under that that'll have to be shifted out of the way. So there is a bit to it. So let's get started. So that's the crash bar off there. I'm going to leave it hang there, have it held with a cable tie there, just to stop the strain on the cables. And our next thing is to remove the side panels here and the fairings. So I'll start with this one here. So a 5mm Allen key. That's what fits this fella here. So when he comes off, it just pops out here and it slides up as well at the same time. There's a clip down here inside. And it pops out then. And for the fairing here, we've got another 5mm on top. And there's a tricky one just down here underneath at the front. Let's see if I can show you. There's one just up, just there in the corner. You have to pop the center of them in the way, and then it comes out. It's like a plastic plug. So I'll just see if I can get him. So that's him there. It's just a plastic clip that you pop the center in and then it comes out. There are two Allen keys here on the radiator. So they're a 4mm that fits them. So that's all the screws in your side fairing. So it should pop out then. There's a Velcro that holds it in here. Velcro strip. That should pop. And some clips. And just round the front here, there's a clip here. Is it here or here? There's, I think it's at the bottom here. There's a white clip. You just have to be careful of because they're very easily broken. So you have a tool trim like that you can get inside it and just lever it out nice and gently, like that. And there we have it. Apart from the cables, that is. So again, I'm just going to let that hang there like that because there's no need to loosen all the electrical connections and take everything off. It's just extra work. So it can hang there. It will be fine. So now the other side. So the same again this side. Start with a 5mm Allen key on the side panel cover here. Tight. So that cover just pops out. You have a couple of clips there that pop out when you loosen that Allen key, and there's just one clip down here at the bottom to look out for. It sits down into this here, so that needs to come up rather than pull it out because that can snap quite easily. So when you pop them three, you get your Allen key off, you pop them three out, you just need to lift it up slightly so that slides up. Again, this guy in the front here, if you have a tool, something like that, bit of a pick, you can push in the center of them. Then you can get in and lever it out down the way. There we have it. Now, two radiator bolts on this side. These two just hold the fairing cover in here, so that's why they have to be removed. And our radiator guard is going to come loose now, so I'll take off that out of the way. So now this is the clip in here to watch out for. Be gentle with them. It's easy broken. The white plastic clip. There he goes. So again in here you have it's like a Velcro strip holding it here. That'll pop out. I left that strip in there this time and detached this from it because there's a 12-volt socket connected in there as well, so just leave him there. And it's relatively easy to disconnect the wiring harness on this side because there's only the one cable for the indicator connection, so I can disconnect him and we'll take him off out of the way. You just have two block connections here. So to unclip them, just get a screwdriver on that tab there, lift them up slightly, and it'll pull out. The same again here with the white one. And that comes out then. That's all that's holding that. So they're the two white clips I've been talking about that are easily broken. So I just lever them out nice and gently and they'll pop out. And then you just have that one that pops as well. And the rest of the bolts. So now our next task is to remove the fuel tank. So the fuel tank is held here by one bolt at the back, one straight through, and then two bolts up here at the front. Two of them, remove them, and then we can lift it up a bit and see what connections are underneath. We're going to have fuel lines and some wiring that'll have to be disconnected. So we'll start with this bolt here at the back. So this is a 10mm bolt here, back of the tank. And just for fun, these two bolts here at the front of the tank are 8mm. So now that's the bolts of the tank, so let's see if we can lift it up a bit and get some space under it. Some blocks of wood there. Now I did say to myself before I done this job, I was going to do the job that I would let the fuel tank run low, and guess what? It never happened. I forgot and I filled it up the other day, and it's about 3/4 full of fuel now, so it is much easier if you can let the fuel tank run low. It's a bit lighter and easier to maneuver, but it's 3/4 full in this case, so I'll have to go with it now anyways and see how we get on. So here we are looking in under our fuel tank. We have it lifted up, block of wood here in the front, another block at the back, just to get it up a few inches so we can get the hoses off. So here underneath we can see what we have. We have a hose here coming down. You can see it there, that one there is coming down. That's an overflow. It's going right down to the bottom of the bike. So that brings any fuel that's spilt and around the cap while you're refueling, or even rainwater that seeps down under the cap there. It's a drain off that allows any fuel or water down to the bottom of the bike. And then we can see that's our main fuel hose going to the injection system there. And that has to be connected, and then we have an electrical connection there as well for our fuel gauge. And then there's just one more pipe over here then, small pipe coming down, that's going down to the vapor canister. Take the vapor, that goes back for recirculation, and that's it. So if we get the pipes off and the connections off, we'll be able to lift our tank off. So we'll start with this one here, the overflow one. That pipe will actually pull up the way, but rather than taking it up and trying to reroute it down again, it might be easier to disconnect them here at the tank. That's not bad. That comes out easy enough. There's no clip on it. On that one. That one can. We'll let that sit there. So then we have our main fuel connection here. I'll try and pop him out. That white tab should slide down nice and gently, like so. Small flat screwdriver like that under it, and slide it down. They're brittle clips, so be careful. It can break easily. There goes the clip out. So then the pipe should slide out relatively easy. You get a small drop of fuel coming out of it, but nothing major. Just put a cloth under it there, soak up any leakage. So looking in from the left hand side here, we can see this is the electrical connection coming from the tank, so there's easy access to it here. We'll disconnect that here, push that clip there, press that down, and that comes apart. We're just left with this one hose here then. There's a clip on that, it squeezes together. And that'll pop down. What we have to do now is remove this ignition coils and the this loom here, and then we can gain access down to the spark plugs. So I'll start with this fella here. $10mm bolt. So we have our cables coming in here. We have two throttle cables here and clutch cable. It's coming in over this plastic cover. You should be able to route them out. There's just a plastic tab that they're sitting there. So if you can prise them up slightly and get them out of that tab. It should release them from it. It's just a bit fiddly there to get into them. So on this side here, we have a breather hose coming out of the air filter box, going through a valve, and you can see it's held down by a tin bolt go across there. So we'll remove that bolt. Get my ratchet spanner. And there's just a block connection on it there. And squeeze that tab there, and that should push back. That connection comes off. And then it's on a rubber thing here that'll push out there. Then that should allow you to lift up that plastic that stays behind. So looking in from the right hand side here, we can see we have our two leads coming out of the coils and going down to the spark plugs. So we'll disconnect the leads from the plugs below. Get your hand in there. Now this attachment here won't come off because it's attached to the loom on the left hand side there. You can see it's attached to this loom here, and the loom is going in around it, so it just doesn't come off. But you don't need it off. Yeah, it's enough to just lift it up like that out of the way, and we can see down in here then our spark plugs. You can see one there. The other one is down that side. There are two spark plugs, so we can get access to them there now. To get them out, get our spark a spark plug spanner. So I'm just going to tie back this plastic cover here, holds all this stuff back out of the way, make life that bit easier. Now, just before I remove the spark plugs, I'm going to just blow out the two holes here, any dust or dirt or debris, to stop it going down into the cylinders when I take out the spark plugs. So I'm just going to give it a blow out with the air line here. Now it looks pretty clean down there, so I'm going to remove the spark plugs. Now there's one. We can see the top of that, it doesn't look bad at all. You can see the colour is like golden, sort of a browny colour. And it's clean, it's dry. There's no oil on it, it's not wet. So it's no harm to look at your spark plugs when you take them out and see what condition they're in. It's an indication of how well your bike is running. The fuel mixture could be too rich or too lean, depending on how the spark plugs looks. So, but if you have a spark plug that looks like that now, it looks fine, and there doesn't seem to be excessive wear on the electrode. Well, this bike hasn't got big mileage anyways. They're not even due for changing yet. So, but yeah, just check them when you take them out like that and see what condition they're in. If there's no oil residue or they're not wet around the top of them, there could be an indication that you need to do some investigations into how the bike is running. They look good, that one at least. That's the second one. Yeah, it looks the same as the first one. It's dry, sort of a brownish colour. It looks fine. So we can go ahead and insert the new plugs. So, spark plugs, NGK I've gone with, and these are CPR-HEA-9 is the number of them. They're the recommended spark plugs for the CB500X. So let's get them fitted. So I'm just going to check the spark plug gap here on the new plugs before I fit them. You can see here in the manual spark plug gap is 0.8 to 0.9 millimeters. That's 0.03 to 0.04 inches. Normally the gap is set correct, but just to be sure, I have 0.8 millimeters there on the feeler blade. And that just fits nicely in there, so that gap is fine. Let's check the second one. Yep, the gap is spot on. So if you ensure you have the correct socket for the job, this is a 10mm spark plug socket. So it will catch the tip of the spark plug here, so it won't fall down when you push it up into it. The spark plug won't fall out when you're dropping it down into the cylinder, so it's important to have that. Especially when it's down so deep. You need an extension to reach. And just careful with the threads when you're starting the threads. Gentle with it, make sure you get it on the correct thread. You don't want to cross thread it or you will be in a lot of trouble. Now that's that nipped in. We'll torque them. So I'd recommend you install these plugs dry. Don't lubricate them with anti-seize or any lubricant because they come pre-lubed from the factory now, the new plugs. So lubricating them further might create different torque values when you're torquing them. So I reckon just to fit them dry. So now that's our spark plugs fitted. Simple as that, ready to go back together. Okay, so time to start putting it back together. We'll start with our spark plug leads, put them back in place. And this tray, I can unhook them here again. And get them sitting back in. So the leads need to go down and they're pushed down into place. You should hear the click like that, and you know they're going into place then. Push them down firmly. You line up your tray, the bolt hole here. Don't forget the cables to set them into place first. You have both your two throttle cables and the clutch cable that sits down on this, sits over this tab here. So I have to get them up and over that tab. And the clutch cable as well, that sits in there as well. So you have 3 cables that sits in that. Now we have a bolt here, this valve here that sits in to that, and there's a bolt on this end of it that needs to be back into place. Just going to use the long nose pliers to get that nut down and thread the bolt into it then. Now everything is sitting back in place there. Just do a final check, make sure all the connections are in and the pipes are back, and we're ready to put on the fuel tank. So we have 4 connections to go back on our fuel tank really. We have the main fuel pipe to be connected up, and then there's 2 vent pipes up at the front, and there's the electrical connection to be clipped back in. So we'll do them first before we let down the tank. So we have the white clip to go on the main fuel connection. That holds it in place. So we push in the connection first into the pipe. Then that white clip pushes in like that. That'll hold it from popping out. And the pipe just roots around there, under that flange there. Make sure it's sitting into place. And up at the front here then, we have the overflow hose that just pushes up into that. There's no clip on it. And that clips in there to that little tab. Just holds it in place. And then the other two are on the other side. So around this side we've got the hose. It comes from the vapor canister. That one is a bit of a stretch, so I might have to take out the timber and drop the tank down to get as close to it as possible, because now I'll see if I can get them with the pliers here. Guide it into it. Now that's that in place. The last connection here then is the electrical connection. The fuel gauge, that just plugs in there. I'm just turning on the ignition there and checking the fuel pump that it's working, and that there's no leak from the main fuel pipe that I'm after connecting up out of the tank there. It looks okay, it looks dry to me. So that's the spark plug change on the CB500X. Not too bad of a job really. So if you do feel confident enough to take it on, why not try it at home? Just remember, try and keep your fuel tank low as possible on fuel before you go doing the job. Just makes the job that bit easier. And if you do have any questions on it, let me know in the comments and I'll get back to you. So that's all for this one. I'll see you on the next one. Thank you very much for watching.